Good morning. Welcome to today's conference dedicated to the future of Czech agriculture, which is quite atypical compared to European farming. I would like to say a couple of words about the European economic situation, which is very much impacted by the Green Deal that is being adopted. And let's make it clear that this green policy is not well adopted. And I must say that Mr. Timmermans crushed Europe by his nonsensical proposals that certain MEPs were very happy to vote for. And well, it's now interesting to see that he lost elections in the Netherlands, so that sent a clear message. And I must say that we really must make sure that we have self-sufficiency. Well, Europe indeed must pursue reasonable green policy. It must be slowed down and fine-tuned so that it does not destroy Czech agriculture and European agriculture. The economy and farming, agriculture, production should be set up in an aligned manner and should really be balanced. If we look at, for instance, rural areas, people are facing huge difficulties there. On top of that, there is the unsystematic Czech subsidy policy. Czech agriculture has one big advantage and one big disadvantage. What is the big disadvantage for the Czech Republic is that there are personal interests of politicians that come into play. They defend the interests of certain entrepreneurs. Well, the Prime Minister went to visit one cooperative that's owned by a relative of the Minister of Labour and Social Affairs, Mr. Jurečka, and that was on Monday, and the Prime Minister didn't even mention that there is a conflict of interest here. So the Prime Minister actually defended the subsidies that go to these companies. And well, the Minister of Labour and Social Affairs, Jurečka, used to be a Minister of Agriculture in the past. I would like to ask Commissioner Wojciechowski to investigate the whole situation in the Czech Republic. Subsidies are only received by a certain group of entrepreneurs who agree with the current government. The current government is in conflict of interest. It's not possible that one entity is paid out subsidies worth 250 million crowns. So if it's proven through the investigation that the subsidy has not been paid out in accordance with the rules, and if conflict of interest is proven, then the subsidy should be returned. And I would like to add that indeed we have seen a lot of lobbying and many other negative elements. The Czech Republic is also a place where there is a lot of cheap labor. Low wages are being silently accepted. There are further pressures, further economic pressures posed on the entrepreneurial entities in farming. The current political representatives are using many ways to destroy farmers who strive hard to keep their companies alive. So probably they aim to take their property over. The consolidation package has a big impact on citizens, and the high energy prices. This actually lowers the support, the subsidies that go to farmers. What is also rising is the red tape, and all that has an impact on soil cultivation. Costs are rising because the soil tax and property tax increases. And let's be frank, by decreasing the subsidies, where farmers are pushed to more extensive forms of farming. We don't like that because this non-production then is stopped up by imports from abroad that supermarkets use to destroy agriculture production and make even greater earnings on the Czech market. All that has a huge impact on the competitiveness of farmers and food producers. We fear that agriculture production will be further decreased, and that we, as has been said, used to be self-sufficient in pork, in potatoes, in hops production, and in other areas. We believe that if agriculture production is reduced further, this will only lead to increasing food prices. And, I can't criticize German capital because nobody would talk to me in the Czech Republic, and I'd be accused of being anti-German, anti-Brussels. But what is being done here, we need to really frankly admit that. I don't have any problem with the German capital, because the capital always goes where it earns most, where it has the greatest gains. But that doesn't mean that it can behave in such a way that it does not even abide by fundamental legislation. So, for instance, Act on Significant Market Force and other pieces of legislation. What we see are prices that are not adequate. Consumers are being confused when they then buy certain foodstuffs. I dare say that these entrepreneurial and political conditions going forward will lead to major changes. The truth is, if farmers implement those changes, they'll be in a lot of trouble. Our wish, however, is to increase production and to be able to sell on the local market. But then politicians need to pave the way for that. In Poland, this happened. In the 90s, there was a shortage of meat, so whether it was beef, whether it was pork. But let's look at the situation in Poland now. It's completely different. At the same time, I need to say that farmers need to choose their representatives who defend their interests. What we must not see is that they are only like minions to the government and they destroy the whole agriculture. These gentlemen should have more self-reflection to be able to judge that this is completely amoral. And how should farmers behave in this setup, in this situation? I have picked a couple of themes that I'd like to talk about. I believe that the current route that we should take would be decreasing costs in animal and plant production. We need to take a look at the following. We need to, for instance, help farms to have their own water so that they can build water distribution, so that they can have, for instance, water wells, etc. And also water tanks. Water will be a limiting factor in agriculture. And I must say that in Moravia, there was a project of one canal, and unfortunately it was put to a halt, which is a shame. It's not a project that was devised as the ex-president Zeman, as some called it, but it's a very sensible project. We also need to learn how to use sewage water for both animal and plant production. I believe that farmers need to have their own electricity generation so that their dependence on fossil energy sources is reduced. We need to also support local regional energy sources. High energy prices are a major cost of farming production. We need to use large recuperation units to decrease the costs when, for instance, there is ventilation applied, etc. And then last but not least, fertilization, using fertilizers is another factor. And I must say that we have a low share of chemical fertilizers, and we should also support green fertilizers. So this is also extremely beneficial. And then I would like to point out that farmers all mention the huge red tape, etc. So we must get rid of excessive administration, and we can do that, for instance, by digitization, satellite technology, etc., reducing bureaucracy from the state perspective, because the Czech state bureaucracy, this is something unique in the whole Europe. And I dare say that this bureaucracy not only costs us all a lot of money, but it also has indirect impact on the increasing number of civil servants who bother us on daily basis, whether it's production or use of technologies, etc. And then another point is that we believe that biogas stations shall not only help the environment, but will also help to diversify and stabilize prices of fuels, both for own consumption and for other transportation purposes. We also want that farming land is used for food production. We don't want to have the green people who are crazy, who are really madmen, and who say that soil should not be tilled, etc. And we should farm our soil. We should not have our market flooded by meat from other countries, be it Spain, be it Poland, etc., perhaps Ukraine in the future. We believe that where foodstuffs are produced, they need to be consumed in the same place, because supporting regional foodstuffs, that's the best way forward. Nature is strong and productive, and I believe that sustainable farming has to indeed take priority, not having the soil to rest. The state and the Ministry of Agriculture and state institutions should serve farmers as guarantors for instance, negotiating debt. Negotiating debt is very difficult. Bankers know that farmers have one great disadvantage. So there is seasonality, and weather is also a crucial factor in the whole process. We need to amend the legislation on significant market force. It has to be amended so that farmers are protected against unfair practices of large chains and large food producers. I believe that going forward, one important thing will happen in the EU, that subsidies shall be further lowered. This will be unpleasant for farmers. And I believe that farmers will have a big problem with that, because lowering subsidies will mean constant changes in agriculture, so this shall be a big problem for the future. And we may speak about the future of animal production or plant production and other things that are related to farming, but I have decided to touch upon costs, because I believe that this is a crucial factor that has implications for other areas. And when you go to a supermarket chain, please bear in mind and look at where the foodstuff comes from, where it was processed, etc. And by purchasing Czech foodstuffs, please help Czech farmers. And in conclusion, Christmas is approaching. Allow me to wish you all very Merry Christmas, a lot of good health, well-being, and I do believe that we shall meet again in better times next time. Thank you very much for your attention.